Let's configure the always on high availability on SQL Server 2019. First step is to install the software. So click on Tools and add Role and Feature Wizard. Under Role and Feature Wizard, click on Next, Next, and you need to go to the Features. Under Features, you have to select the feature name, that is failover clustering. So select failover clustering and add this feature, and then click on Next, then Install. So restart the system when required. Enable this feature so that it will restart the machine if required during the installation. Installation will start. Repeat the same step on all your nodes. If you have multiple nodes for your SQL Server 2019, you need to repeat this on all the nodes. So this is going on my node 2. Now I will do the same thing on node 1 as well. So this is my node 1. My machine is started. I will repeat the same step on node 1. So this is installation of features on node 1. In the meanwhile, let's connect through the SQL Server Management Studio and stay connected for rest of the work. So in the meanwhile, we can verify the machine's installation. After the installation is complete or during the installation, it will restart the servers. Both the nodes will be restarted. Then we will validate. Right now, this is just configuring the SQL Server Management Studio. Now you can see the machines are restarting. Both my machines are restarting. After you log in, it will take you back to the same wizard. Now here on server 1, installation is succeeded. On server 2, installation is still going on after restart also. And now it is almost complete on server 2 as well. So after this clustering software is installed on both the nodes, we will validate and create the cluster. So this is succeeded on machine 2 as well. Now go to that tools and then click on this cluster management, failover cluster management. The failover cluster management, here you will click on this validate cluster to validate the cluster. So the validate the cluster, first thing is we need to add both the nodes to the cluster. So click on validate cluster configuration. Wizard will be displayed. Validate a configuration wizard will be displayed. Now click on next. Now search for the server 1 and server 2. These are name of my machines. Remember that these are name of my machine. Server 1 is name of my machine, first machine, and server 2 is my server second machine. So search and add. It will validate. It will check the connectivity and it will add both the machines. Click on next. Both the machines are added to the cluster now, and run all tests. It will perform all the tests. It will check the IP addresses, connectivities, and everything. You may face an error due to the first IP address, which is NAT-based IP address 10.0.2.15 if you're using Oracle VirtualBox, and that IP address is not reachable. So do not panic. And this is what error which I'm getting here, because that is only the first IP address which is not reachable, that is 10.0.2.15. If you look at this dialog box, if you can pause and verify that that is not reachable, you know that that IP address is not reachable. So second IP address, which is host only adapter IP address 10.10.10.0.100, those IP addresses are reachable. So don't panic, this is fine. Now before you begin, create a cluster now. Now here you specify the name of your cluster. Give a name to your cluster. Let's say, for example, Skillpedia is the name I'm giving to my cluster. And then specify the virtual IP address for this cluster by clicking on this address. So click here and specify the IP address. Keep this IP address different from the rest of the IP addresses. Like if you have 10.10.0.100, So make it 10.10.0.102. That will be the IP address for this cluster. Now click on next. Yeah, this is IP address for this cluster. Click on next. So it will create the new cluster for your both the nodes which you have added, server 1 and server 2. These are the two machines I have running in my Oracle VirtualBox with static IP address. Now you can verify the nodes also. You can see server 1, server 2, both the nodes are up. So high availability, the failover clustering software is installed successfully. The cluster is created successfully. Now we need to enable the always on high availability on my SQL server. For that, you first verify these all the services are stopped. So you need to start all the services. After all the services are started, you need to change and enable the high availability for the SQL Server service. So go to the properties of SQL Server service after restarting all the services. Let's go to the this properties for SQL Server service. Yeah, under this always on, you have to enable this or enable always on high availability group, and this is required for both the machines. You need to repeat the same thing on server 2 as well. So you can see that all the services are running and always on is enabled. Same thing you have to repeat on the second machine also. So this is my server 2. Go to the configuration manager, restart all the services. All the services are stopped during this installation of the software. So start all the services, go to the properties, enable this always on availability group. After this always on availability group is enabled, you need to restart the service. Remember that. So restart, or if they are stopped, start all the services. So after all the services are started, we are good to go. Connect to the database engine. Both the machines you can connect just for verification purpose through our SQL Server Management Studio. Now check the database. You have AdventureWorks database. You should import it if it is not there from the backup. You should have AdventureWorks database. And one more thing is that option for recoverability, that must be full. If you don't have a recovery model set to full, it will not work. So the clustering require high availability require that always on require that you set the recoverability to always on to full. Now go to this always on high availability and create a group. Give a name to your always on availability group. Let's say TSP group 1 in my case. Configure this database level health. Now you see only one database meet the requirement because you have to ensure that the recovery model is set to full. Add replica. Server 2 you can see is my primary, and I'm connecting to my server 2 also. I'm adding the server 1 also. So server 1 and server 2 both the replicas are added because the cluster is already configured. So server 1, server 2 configured as my replica. Let's configure the endpoint also. These are the endpoints. This is a backup reference. Nothing too special here. Listener is required. We need to create a listener here. Create a availability group listener. Give a name to your listener. Give a name to your listener and a port number 1433 and add the IP address from the same CIDR block 10.10.0.102. Give any name like 111 in my case, and then next, next, Verify everything if you want. Just take a look once again and click on next after that once you are satisfied. Next, and we'll display this results and finish. So it will configure the high availability group listener, and you can see that this will be repeated on both the nodes, both my instances, I mean both my servers. And exactly you can see that it is configured on both my servers. So it is available on my first server as well and as second server as well as. So server 1 and server 2 both have the same group, and the database is also replicated immediately. You can see the database also, availability database. If you click on availability database, you will see the AdventureWorks database also. You can check this. See, AdventureWorks database is available. And same thing you can see here also, availability database. So my high availability is configured